Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 6th meeting of the Dairy Conservation Commission. Prior to calling the meeting to order and rising for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll ask that all cell phones be muted on the board as well as in the audience, as to not impact the pledge. Once done, all rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. If all commissioners could make sure their microphones are on with the green light on in front of them. In case of emergency this evening, please do not use the elevators. We have stairs in the back as well as an emergency exit up here in the front. I'll start that we have introductions of commission members to my right this evening.
Will Lowenthal, good evening.
Grace Reisdorf.
Aaron Spencer.
Bob Lundstrom. Rick Bazanga.
Bob Sperl.
Eileen Chabot, good evening.
Jeannie Cunningham.
And I'm the chair, James Degnan. First order of business tonight is an approval of minutes. I want to point out, it's not on our agenda official, but at our last meeting, we opted to table the 10-2 minutes. There was one question that Eileen had about a clarification on something that she had asked for about the culvert. I did go back and watch as described, and it was still a little bit of a gray area, but not actually anything that was impactful to the minutes. So my proposal would be that we vote to approve the minutes with that particular sentence redacted and approve them moving forward without it.
Okay.
That's amenable.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from 10-2.
So moved.
Rick motions, do we have a second?
Second?
Eileen seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Grace Reisdorf abstains for the record. Thank you. All right, and the official minutes that were passed out this evening, which was on the agenda, was for our 10/16/2023 meeting. Any comments on those minutes?
Move to accept.
There's a motion to accept from Rick, second from Mr. Spurl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Again, Ms. Reisdorf, perfectly acceptable. Okay. Going into the chair's report on correspondence, we have a couple of pieces from DES. First one is a notice for an approved shoreland permit. This is to impact 9,300 square feet of protected shoreland in order to demolish a non-conforming structure and build a conforming primary structure with a deck, porch, embedded garage, stormwater management, construct a pervious driveway, etc. This is for 17 Germantown Road, tax map 19, lot 96. Second notice is for 6R Coles Grove Road, tax map 51, lot 003R. This is a note from DES of an insufficient and untimely response to a prior notice. Time is running out on that one. Have to be a new application. Next notice is for an approved shoreland permit application. This is for an impact of 462 square feet of protected shoreland in order to construct a deck off the primary residence. This is for 15 Escumbit Road, tax map 16, lot 18, off Island Pond. And the last notice is for approval for a dredge and fill wetlands permit. This is a project that we saw over on 30 Pinkerton Street for the dental office. There was some expanded parking discussion in the back there. 32 Pinkerton Street, tax map 36, lot 26, and that was approved. And I can pass those around for anybody that would like to see those. Okay, and with that, I welcome our first order of business this evening, which would be a site plan review of additional phases of Denali Estates. I won't say what specific number, but we'll say Denali Estates presented by Promised Land Survey. Originally, we had Tim Peliquin presenting, but we have somebody presenting on his behalf tonight on behalf of the developer, which is JAL LLC. Perfect. Right over on that edge of the table, please, if you would. So for the board tonight, we're going to be presenting digitally, but we also have a full set of plans. If anybody would like to go over and monitor the full set of plans while this presentation's happening, please do. Just make sure the mic's on if you have any questions or comments They'll be over there. As always, name for the record and give an overview of the project, please.
Neil McCarthy from Promised Land Survey. And so basically, I think you've already walked phase 1 and phase 2. This is phase 3 and phase 4 that is in the plan sets that are before you. Phase 3 is an extension and reworking of the cul-de-sac of phase 3. If you look at the overview sheet there, you will see that there's a faded cul-de-sac, so that's an adjustment of where that layout is of that cul-de-sac, and then the cul-de-sac gets extended out further. There's another piece of property that was purchased. So in this phase, it's reworking some of those initial lots with some lot line adjustments because the roadway alignment was altered, and then some new lots were added along there. So there's a series of like 4 or 5 different lot line adjustments in there to lots that were already existing, and then there's some additional lots added there. I think I don't remember the lot count right off the top of my head, but it's in the notes right up top, how many new lots there are, how many lots are adjusted. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 6 new lots, 7, 8 new lots, and then the other ones are all part of adjustments.
While we have this large-scale view, can you point out where the wetlands are?
Where the area where the cul-de-sac is, there is no wetlands there except for the back of those longer lots that are somewhat off, those long lots off the end of the cul-de-sac. There's wetlands out behind those that won't be anywhere near the development area. And within the area where the old cul-de-sac was, there's a wetland that's south of that, which would be part of some of those lot line adjusted areas. And then the bulk of the remaining wetlands are all on the larger parcel there. Yeah, he's pointing to now. That larger parcel there is where the bulk of the wetlands are.
Okay, my memory, and it could be faulty because it's been a while, when we did the phase 1 and 2 walk, there was something over to the left, and maybe that's what you were referring to when you said where the old cul-de-sac was.
Yeah, right in there. Right where he's got the mouse now is where there's a wetland there.
Okay.
Did we even go up that far when we had the our walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the original walk that was flagged, we went to where that cul-de-sac was located, at least one of the farther lot points. I don't believe we went to the back corner of the previous lot, which would have been 58, I can't see from here because it's not zoomed in enough, but maybe 5810. We didn't get all the way to the back corner of the lot, but again, that's the wetlands were in the back part of that parcel.
Yeah, I think
with everything being on the frontage. Hold on a second. They weren't planning to build a house that would impact the wetlands, so we didn't get to that back corner. But we were at about where that cul-de-sac was. Thank you for zooming in there.
Yeah, with it zoomed in there, you can see the lighter lines would be where the lot line adjustment is taking place. And then you see that line that says boundary line to be removed. That is the new lot that was added on. So all the lots past that are really the new lots, and anything south of that has been adjusted with the exception of where lot 20, 28, 26, and 27 are. Those are new lots that would be coming out of that 1158.
I have a question for you on the, if you could scroll back up to the top of the document, please, and over to, scroll to the right there. The statement that says a waiver from the Land Control Development Regulations section, high-density soils, was approved by Derry Planning Board. Could you tell me what that means?
The high-density soils is basically a soil scientist would have to go out there and map out what is there for soil types, and only a soil scientist can do that. And it's based on slopes. It's based on what there is for wetlands. It's based on basically what they have for NRCS soils. And when you have those, you have to score out what percentage of a lot that you have, and
gotta wait
Some of
for
the biggest restrictions when you do that is
Have
when
to
you
map it.
run into like a well radius and those type of things, because that's gonna start to eat up
Radius
some of
looks
that
like-
lot.
right.
So because these were on water,
Oh, okay, you don't have to do that.
they allowed for a waiver to the HIS. So we didn't have to do the high-intensity soils because all the lots had water on them. So getting a septic system on them, you don't have the restriction of the well. We didn't have any restrictions with the steep slopes and things like that. And, you know, any of the wetlands, we weren't near any of those, so they allowed for a waiver on that.
When you say water, you mean town water?
Yeah, it has town water, yes, yep.
Owen, can we please scroll down to sheet number 3, please, sir? You can see, once you get to sheet 3, and zoom out a hair, thank you, sir. So you can see the dotted line was what we originally walked. Again, I believe the center of the road was staked out. We walked this, but you can see us crossing through those 2 wet areas. And as you merge into the house down there for the proposed dwelling, we're still showing that we're away from the wet. I'm just kind of trying to track up the road as to what's changed as we move forward. You see the wetland, no impact there. Can you scroll down to sheet 4, please?
That's what I remember seeing.
Can you give us a little bit of information on this access and drainage easement here? Is that existing or is that going to be proposed?
That's proposed. That's proposed as part of the development. I think that's just all the storm water is gonna run off into a detention area.
Okay.
Is the detention area shown anywhere on these plans?
Not within our plan set, it's in the engineering plan set. I didn't bring in like the full engineering plan set that would be presented at the planning board, just basically the
So we
lot
don't
layout.
have a full plan set to look at?
I do not have the full engineering plan set, no, I do not.
All the other ones have driveways, and this one,
Can you scroll to sheet 10, please?
this driveway looks like.
These are those 2 longer lots off the cul-de-sac.
That's where the stormwater is gonna go, I'd have to see it.
I think this is what you were mentioning before about the wetlands being in the back of those sites?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Can you jump back to that previous slide for a second, that we were looking at in that detention area?
You can actually still see it on the one we were on.
No, that one has the driveway, though.
Oh, it's not complete, though. Yeah.
See, this driveway.
Thank you for DTV for navigating. We like that.
What?
All right, scroll down a little bit there. What are you looking for on this one? The driveway coming in?
Yeah, so the driveway, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, lot, I can't make out which lot it is, by that access area that we were asking before, the drainage. The driveway comes off of the cul-de-sac, but the house is on, it's a long ways compared to all the other sites show driveways going up to the dwelling.
Is that driveway going through the detention
Yeah,
area?
that driveway is, I would say that's definitively gonna move. That's the road layout that I got from the engineering company, but once we got that detention area in there and where the 4K area is and where our test pit was, and the 4K area is just where you can put a septic that it's gonna work out. And where the test pit is, that driveway's gonna have to slide down to be in front of that house. I think it's just a matter of that was their layout. We were laying out the lots and, you know, it's just all proposed, so it can just be moved. I think it's simple enough to move. It doesn't belong coming off the cul-de-sac there, for sure.
All right, so it wouldn't be covering, going
No,
across the
no,
access?
no. I don't think anybody would wanna put the expense into building a driveway
Yeah.
like that where they're crossing a detention area either, so yeah, it would come probably straight out, yeah.
So Neil, we're gonna walk this. How much of this land is cleared and passable? I know there's some trails that very limited that had existed back there. Has there been any clearing going on back there?
I know that they're out at least to part of this road. I have not been out there recently. I can ask one of the guys who was out there recently. The most recent information I have is that basically out past where the old cul-de-sac had existed, that was cleared because they're starting some of those lots in there. So I'm not sure exactly how far they've gotten out at this point in time, but I know they've started down this next road.
So essentially, we can pull up to exactly where that pre-existing cul-de-sac was, and then it would be a short travel up into the rest of the site.
That's my understanding, but I can send you an email once I talk to the guy who was out. I had a guy out there the other day who located one of the foundations, so he can give me an idea how much further.
And I want to be clear just for myself as well as the board. So we're looking at a plan set detailed as phase 3.
Yes.
So when we vote or walk this, we're going to be looking at it from the lens of, this is what phase 3 is, this is what we would be approving based on what's presented. There was also another plan set shared, which is another phase. Are you actively presenting both?
Both of these plan sets were submitted to TRC.
At the same time?
Yeah, at the same time, so we're dealing with TRC at the same time, which is next Friday. And the goal is to submit both to the planning board at the same time.
Okay.
And I think chiefly because to do it all in one phase and just, bonding and those type of things, that to split them up as phases that they do at the same time is just more economically feasible.
Okay.
Phase it out.
I want to make sure the board votes and understands when we're looking at these, we're going to be looking at them as phase 3 with a vote and commentary, phase 4 with a vote with commentary. We will not be approving both under the same umbrella, just to be clear. They may have separate circumstances and or recommendations.
Are we seeing phase 4 tonight?
Phase 4 was provided, yes.
It
Yeah.
was.
So before we get there, do we have any additional questions on phase 3?
Is the center line of the road marked?
No, but we can mark it out before a
Because
sidewalk.
when we looked at 1 and 2, it was marked
Yeah,
out for
yeah,
us.
we can
so-
have it marked out.
Bless you.
Yeah, I figured we would set a date at some point in time and mark it out, as close to that day as possible. That way, if they're doing work through there, they don't take anything out.
Just to give some time before we get into phase 4, maybe send a text message out just to ask the question. Looking at the calendar before we even talk about site walk. So we don't have snow yet, which is absolutely fantastic. But our next meeting would be scheduled the week of Thanksgiving, which would be very tough to pull off. I know a lot of folks travel. I have travel planned.
Yeah.
So the meeting on the 20th probably is not going to happen. I would assume with most holiday travel happening. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's unlikely. Our next meeting would be December 4th. So that would put us out quite a bit of time. So I think a couple of the things I know that we asked for or that was provided, center line of the road at least so that we could walk that pathway.
Yep.
Some of the back lots were at least staked. I don't know if these have been identified yet and staked where at least the back of the lots were.
Is the edge of the wetland flagged?
The wetland flags, they're pretty new flags. I mean, we could double check, but they're
Still
pretty new
visible?
flags, so they should
Maybe
be
you could
visible.
freshen those up so we could see it.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Okay. All right, I'm just, again, for transparency, I know Tim can't be here tonight, and obviously the builder's not here tonight either. I just wanted them to understand that timeline as well, based on meetings, site walk, feedback, coming back. So we'll probably have a follow-up on the 4th, so that would at least give some time, and we could set a site walk further out.
Usually you don't have a second meeting in December either.
No, because it's gonna end up hitting Christmas.
So you got 2 meetings before, we got probably 2 meetings left before the end of the year.
Yeah. I'd have to talk to Sheila about scheduling something on the 27th, but I don't know that we would, that's the week after Thanksgiving too. There's still people traveling then, so.
All right.
So we'll target the 4th for now. I'll send a follow-up to Tim tonight that said, hey, here's what was discussed, but we're looking probably more the 4th. So any other questions on phase 3 before we move to the other plan? Eileen?
He mentioned that we weren't afforded a chance to look at where the detention pond was. We didn't have that in the plan set that we were given tonight. I would like to have, those plan sheets so that I could see where the stormwater's going from that drainage easement. And I think we should have been afforded those sheets. So,
Yep. We can get those
Yeah.
in PDF. Understood. We're pitch hitting to some extent tonight for Tim, so we'll make it work.
Yeah, I-
But
And
yeah,
I
we'll get those ahead of time.
It shows where it's going, it just doesn't show the details of it.
I
Yep.
just,
But we can get
I
those.
just would like to see it, and I'd like
Absolutely.
a chance to review the plans before December 4th, so, maybe you could pass along that I will have some comments on December 4th, so.
Okay. Anything on phase 3?
Just want to verify that in phase 3, at least, there are no wetland impacts.
There are no wetland impacts now.
All right, moving into the phase 4 overview. So give us a little picture of what's happening here.
All right, so in phase 4, the southerly portion of phase 3, which previously was a larger block, that is going to be a road pushed through there. And that is going out onto,
Wildwood?
where you see Wildland and where Forest comes in. So it's getting pushed out through there. So there was a block of land there that's getting pushed out, that road's getting pushed out to create that frontage. So it's, it's a subdivision of the southerly portion of phase 3. And then there's a bulk of new lots that were purchased.
It's the road.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, that's the road section, yeah. And then there's a bulk of lots that would be, as you're looking at it off to the left there, that those are getting subdivided. And there's a zoning change through there. So those lots over there actually fall into a different zone, so they're smaller lots.
And that's just existing on that
That's
already?
an
That's
existing-
nothing you've gone to
No,
zoning for?
No,
for
that's the
variance.
existing
Okay.
zoning line.
Okay.
What's it go to 1 acre zoning?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and those are all over that, just because they're long, narrow lots, they're all over that.
Can we slide right down to sheet 2, please? All right, so you can see right at the top where they're kind of stacked there. Okay. Dwellings right off the street, 4K area identified behind.
Yep. And all the wetlands for that are all out back too on that, the larger portion, larger parcel out back.
Okay. Across the street there on lot 28, no wetland impact. To the south of that, 29.
They're able to sell it all.
Keep going down. Boy. Okay. And then at the bottom, lot 30's got some in the corner.
Yeah.
But away.
And there's no intention to impact that in there.
Now, is there a woods road that went through there?
Yeah, there's a little bit of gravel through there. It never got fully developed, but it's platted as a road that continued through.
And again, it looks to be a drainage easement there as well that's existing, correct?
Yeah, the wetland flag numbers are actually on the plan there. So those are all the wetlands
S6
through
and
there.
S7, okay.
Yeah, that section of wetlands right there actually goes off of the development area. You just show them for, setback purposes. And then the string of wetlands that crosses where Forest Street is, those are all actually on another piece of property. So those are quite a bit southerly of any of the work that's being proposed, except for where it, kind of nips across the end of that one lot.
There's a wetland edge right there.
Yeah. Before we leave this sheet, any questions?
So I'm a little bit confused about the overall geography now. Is Forest Street going to be extended, and is it going to connect with, what is that, Daniel, or that cul-de-sac up there?
Yes, yep. Yeah, it tees in. It tees into just basically southerly of where phase 3 is and where phase 2 was. It's in that area there. I don't think you can quite see it on that sheet, but that's the proposed roadway going through. Yeah, on the overview there, you can see where it would tee into Daniel.
Interesting, okay. Can we go down to sheet 6, if you wouldn't mind, on a zoomed out view? So I'm seeing a new lot off Wildwood here with, I just want to confirm, no building plans on that particular lot. That's that long diagonal lot in the middle there. To the left, lot 31.
Yeah, yep, there's no plans to build on that.
Okay, and
It doesn't have sufficient frontage, and so that lot is technically a lot of record. There's 2 lots of record over there, and to get those lots out there, there's actually a lot line adjustment, and that lot's gonna stay as the current lot, just that lot all along has had no frontage except for that 50 feet that goes down to Wildwood, and that lot's gonna remain like it is, except for a little bit of a lot line adjustment to pick up a little bit of acreage for those new lots, but it remains a lot that doesn't have sufficient frontage, and to actually get out there, you'd have to have a wetland crossing, so it's just gonna remain like that for now.
And
I know of no future plans for anything with that lot.
and this drainage easement noted here is the one that flows down towards the unpaved
Yeah, yeah.
road. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll send the phasing plans for that as well, that will detail that detention area. We're just showing the easement.
There's a lot going on in a small area here.
Yeah.
It's kind of intense. How many homes are going in between Phase 3 and Phase 4 here?
I'd have to look at the cover again. I can't remember. I think the first one's, I think it's 11, but part of that is lots that are already approved and are readjusted.
Uh-huh.
So I'd have to get a count. I'd have to go through a count to see how many actually new ones there are. I can't remember how many new ones there are. But there's a lot line adjustments in there, so there are new ones being added, but most of those are in the secondary portion where they picked up that back portion of the lot. There are new ones added in where Phase 2 finished out because of a couple of lot line adjustments. And the larger lot that they didn't do any development on at that point.
It looks like this phase here we're looking at is 12.
Yeah, and on this one, these ones are all new. They're not readjusted lots on this section.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the other one, just making my best guess here. Hang on.
I think there's like 11 total, but it might be like only 8
8
new ones.
Yeah, it looks like 8 new ones.
I think it's 8 new ones, but there's 11 in there, but some of those are lot line adjustments. Basically to accommodate the shifting of the road there.
What's that little, so where on Daniel Road, where that tees in, right, where the one we're looking at, it tees into Daniel Road, directly across from where it tees in, what is that? Is that like a right of way to lot 58?
Yeah, yep, yeah, to at least provide some sort of frontage. I don't know what the plans are over there at this juncture. But
Yeah, for those
it's
that-
left with frontage.
Yeah, so what we're talking about for those at home is not on the current sheet, but if you look on the cover sheet, on there, you'll see the development that exists and what's proposed, and you'll see a large blanked area there, map 11, lot 58. You'll see that there's a connection point directly across from this new proposed road through Daniel. That's a right-of-way. That's what Rick was asking for those at home.
Can you say again, please, James?
For those that are at home, you can see where Daniel Road comes down through the center.
Yep.
Where that new road comes in directly across, there's an opening towards map 11, lot 58, that big white chunk across the way from the new proposed road.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that access point in between those two lots here is just, it's access, because you can't landlock the parcel, essentially. So
Yes.
if you had to access that, instead of going through somebody's backyard, which you couldn't do, that's where you're gonna access that parcel. Again, there's large printouts over here for anybody that wants to take a look. I think probably not coming back to a meeting in 2 weeks is gonna bode well. I think there's some things that we would wanna kind of identify in this plan. Again, center of road of those expansions. Rick, back lot lines at least staked. We're gonna walk through some of these. Assuming some of the boundaries will be marked.
We probably want to see where that, where detention pond area is.
Right.
You got the corners on that?
Yeah, we can mark it out. Yeah, we haven't yet, but we can mark it out.
All right, so I'm gonna make a list. Center
And
line of
obviously
the road.
sorry, Jim, and obviously that driveway gets fixed up.
Yeah, yep.
Center line of the road, detention areas. Backlot corner, you said all the wetlands are already flagged.
Yeah, we'll check that though.
Okay. On this
Put that on the list to make sure that that gets done, if you would, the wetlands.
You got it. Any proposed wetland impact on phase 4?
No.
Okay. I would say that we could set a date for the site walk, but I think there's more discovery that needs to happen at the office, talking to Tim and talking to the developers to make sure we know where we're at. We have to also alert the public that we're gonna do a site walk. Again, the public can attend, but they can't, ask questions and participate in conversation, but they can attend. Looking at the calendar, I would say let's have a conversation and then be back in communication on the 10th, which would be Friday, on a
Yeah.
proposed date. I'd like to have that date hopefully within the week of the 13th through the 17th to be able to put out to the commission. If not, between the 13th and the 17th, sometime between the 27th and the 1st, preferably later in that week.
Yeah, okay.
And then we would plan to get back here on the 4th. Does that make sense? Okay.
So both plan sets on December 4th? Is that what you're planning?
Correct. As a follow-up. I'm guessing from the site walk, there'll be feedback. That could get worked in if need be, right? We need those engineering plans. If we can get those earlier than later,
Yeah, I can-
before the walk,
I can
that'd be
send them
fantastic.
tomorrow.
So if we have discussions this week, an answer on the 10th, public posting needs to be within, I would say, 72 to 48 comfortably. Let's get back on the 10th with 2 proposed dates. If we need to do 2 walks based on commissioner attendance, I'm sure the Lannons would accommodate that as well.
Yeah.
But
sure, yeah.
let's get back on the 10th with 2 dates, and we'll go from there. Plan will be to come back on the December 4th meeting. Make sense?
Yep, sounds good.
Amenable to everybody here? Any hard dates that there's no's for people within those timeframe, within the timeframe?
So you're targeting the week of the 12th, right?
13th through the 17th, or the 27th through the 1st?
Yeah.
And hopefully it's not raining like it was on Denali Phase 1, because it was pouring. A monsoon, some would say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Worse than the opening scene of Jumanji. All right, why don't we, not hearing any hard no's at this point, but let's get back on the 10th if we can with a definitive date, and we'll get it out via email to the commission, and it'll be publicly posted.
Okay,
Sound good?
yep, sounds good.
Can we keep these copies?
Yes, you want me to get hard copies of the engineering plans too, and I can get them here sometime?
If you can, and just drop them off upstairs with George,
Okay.
we'll make sure,
Yeah.
I'll let Eileen know, or anybody else wants to see them, that they'll be here available.
I can email them digitally, but I'll bring by.
We'll
a
take
second.
email, but sometimes it's nicer just to be
Yeah.
able to comb through the
Yeah,
larger
if I could
set.
have the hard copy, I'd appreciate that.
Yep,
Thanks.
There you go. Okay, enough to be dangerous. Thank you.
all right, thanks.
Thanks. The plan sets only get bigger, the print only gets smaller, such as
Right.
life.
It's a little tough on
Such
the eyes to go through it on a
is life.
computer. I don't have a big monitor, so.
All right, getting back into the crux of business here, let's wrap up strong. We had a second subdivision plan on the agenda tonight that will not be heard. So let's move into other business this evening. First piece of other business, I wanted to share an email that Eileen sent to me. Thank you, Eileen.
Yep.
This was an update to the New Hampshire DES wetland rules. So let's see here. So the New Hampshire wetland rule updates that became effective on October 13th, 2023. Several highlights include, now there's more of a detailed list if you go to the NHACC site. So I'll forward this email from you, so if you want to read the links, you can. Highlights as chosen by the email drafter here. Number 1, mitigation hierarchy removal. Permit applicants are not required to prove there are no local mitigation options before opting for an in lieu fee option. Greater wetlands permit by notification. Form accessibility and ease of use. The form has been shortened from 10 printed pages down to 7, so the applicant has a little easier time pushing that through. Permit by notification form includes 3 new project categories. Temporary Tier 1 or Tier 2 stream crossings, one only, impacting less than 50 or linear feet of stream channel. Minimum impact single lot residential driveways, and minimum impact pond maintenance. For ones that we would probably see that would have been affected by that are now PBN, would be the Tier 1 or Tier 2 stream crossings, and potentially the single lot residential driveways. I don't think we would typically see pond maintenance in front of the board, for the record, but we would likely see the other 2. In addition, the latest rules updates includes clarification that New Hampshire DES will review the permit by notification applications within 10 days within 2 exceptions. Applicants are strongly encouraged to include a signed written waiver of intervention from Conservation Commission. If they do not, assigned staff will review the PBN applications within 25 days. So because of that, I would assume that we will get a lot of requests for a quick review and feedback via email in hopes that they can get some type of letter. I would state for the commission here that in the past on quick PBNs, we would have 2 commissioners walk it in the past. I don't know that we're going to be granted that time frame, especially if we're being asked to write a letter waiving any commentary. I don't know that we would do that in the same way. I think we need to discuss the commission what we would do if we get that request.
So if they opt for that, it gets expedited to a 10-day process as opposed to a 25-day process?
Correct.
So they have to just notify us in writing? And then what's our response time from when we get notified? Does it say that?
No. So essentially, they can ask us, and we have no documented time that says
What
you
if we
have
get
to
it on the
respond.
9th day? I mean, what if we're notified on the 9th day that we're supposed to respond? I don't know, we might want to see clarification on that, or at least know what we have for time scheduled to
So
respond.
they would have to submit the application with our waiver letter saying we're okay with this.
But we don't want to really say we're okay with it
Till we
until we see the,
Till we see what it is,
see
which
the-
essentially means notify us, come to a meeting, gain feedback. So
So-
they're
so
really
if
not
we-
saving a lot
So
of
if they
time.
wait, it's to their disadvantage.
So if we pocket it, it goes automatically to 25 days.
Correct,
Got it.
correct. Applicants are strongly encouraged to include a signed written waiver of intervention from River Management Advisory Committee if applicable.
Sorry, Jim, one more time. So let's say we decide to pocket it, and then that pushes them to 25 days. But it doesn't prevent us from commenting within that 25-day period.
It will allow you to provide comments, but more than likely, what we've seen with PBN, they're pretty thorough, by the way. The PBN committee is very thorough. I think more often than not, you'll see a lot of approvals. I don't know. PBN is meant to, and we've had this conversation about DES for a while, it's really meant to expedite the process for stuff that's deemed to be lower impact and not as great of a challenge to overcome. So there's a little bit more, I don't want to say flexibility because rules are rules,
right.
but there's a little bit more of DES saying, we're going to control the approval. We're okay with some more things. Maybe our recommendations would get a little granular. Their recommendations may not get as granular. To me, this is more of an advantage for them to say, I'm going to save myself 15 days. Do I really want to ask the Conservation Commission to provide feedback, or do I just want to eat the 15 days? Because it's more than likely going to take a site walk, a follow-up, a vote, which is more of like a 7 to 14-day process anyways.
But it's kind of good that
I
they
think it's
say
better-
that to the applicant, that, hey, you're encouraged to get the Conservation Commission's, waiver, because if you don't, it's going to take you longer to get your approval, so.
Right?
I think it's better for us. I think that's a better
It helps us.
better policy for us than
It is.
the previous policy where they would just kind of circumvent us
Right.
and then
Right,
let us know
right.
that they approved it.
So in the past, so this is the discussion point on this.
I mean,
In
we're the boots
past,
on the ground, so.
we've gotten a notice.
Yeah.
2 commissioners would typically go out, take a look at it, no issue. go ahead, pass your application forward. We never really wrote a letter of recommendation or a letter of waiver. There is a spot block where you can sign off on some of
Right.
the permit applications. Do we want to follow that same process? So at least 2 commissioners, once a request comes in, view the project. And then do we trust the 2 commissioners to vote? Do we have to bring it back to a meeting? Because at that point, we're asking 2 commissioners potentially to make a judgment.
I'm okay with the 2 commissioners. That's what we've done in the past. At least around the lake, that's what we've done. You and I have done.
I'm also okay with that. That's how it's been. I just want to make sure. Again, writing a letter is, I think, a little bit different than signing off and saying, yep, we're waiving it. The letter of recommendation takes a little bit more of more than a signature.
How about 2 commissioners with an announcement to the body saying that these 2 commissioners are going to take this up. We're going to be here on this day, and if someone wants to join, they can join.
Yeah, I like that, Rick.
Okay.
I like that.
Well, then that'll be our process. We'll put some paper to that and get that formally voted on. Any other comments on that particular? Perfect. Only other update I have, actually I have 2. One, Broadview Farm has been mowed. It looks fantastic. I want to thank tractor guy Noah Duarte for a fantastic job. He was in and out of there amazingly in one day. And for the quality of the job that he did, it was fantastic. It was a long day. I do want to say we came in under what our budget. We voted for up to $1,500 to allocate toward the mowing. Final came in at $1,250. This was fantastic, so we came in under. And I was there the morning of and the afternoon that it was completed. As soon as he pulled away, parking lot was full. I mean, it was like they were waiting for him to pull out of there. Not one person had anything negative to say. Everybody was happy. Everybody said long overdue. And then there was a lot of questions about birds. Well, why don't you do this all the time? And why don't you do it? And it was like, okay, let's hold on a second. There was some milkweed that got mowed down in the process. Had to talk to somebody and explain it will grow back. You know, it's part of the process, but it will
There've been
return.
some great butterflies found out there. I've been sending them along to Will. We've seen some, we've had, Lori Shepherd's seen some monarchs out there even, and some other rare butterflies. So the milkweed is important, and yeah, in the future, if we could maintain that, that would be great.
Well, there's no harm in cutting the milkweed now.
Yeah, it's
No,
already
well, I
done.
mean, it'll
No,
grow
not
back,
now.
right? But, I mean, you don't want to mow it down in season.
And there was some discussion, and we've talked about this before. Across from the parking lot, we own that property as well. There's kind of a triangular
Yeah,
lot
it's
that's
just-
part
it's
of
about
Broadview.
3.5 acres, yeah,
And boy, does it need some help.
yeah.
Really?
It's gonna need some brush clearing. It's
Yeah.
very overgrown.
I haven't actually ever stepped into there. It's so
It's
difficult to get to,
But the question remains, and this came up from somebody that was there the day the mowing was completed. They said, well, couldn't you just have more garden plots across the street? And couldn't you?
Wow.
Well,
What
we
do you think
can
of
and we
that?
might be able to, but funding is another story, so.
Right.
Well, that's also the time to ask the requester to volunteer some effort, right? I've
Oh.
been continually trying to push to get
Oh,
more
we-
community involvement in doing this stuff, so.
So I think equipment's one thing, but then once the equipment is out of there is when I think volunteerism really can step over and get into gear. So we talked.
Did you talk to Noah about brush cutting that?
I did not, but we can certainly add it to the list of things that would be interesting for him to do.
I think that's great.
Contract and bid.
I've been
is the way
dying
that
to
we
get
should say
that piece of property there, that parcel, restored to, a pasture or something.
Something.
I mean, if we
yeah.
do that, what are we going to be using it for? I guess I would ask that.
Well,
Well,
right now it's
growing up with
it's
invasives now,
growing
right?
wild, and it's
Okay.
not providing any value to anyone.
Right.
And I will say, part of the reason why this kind of sparked some interest is there's some emails that came into the commission this week from some of our younger folks in town, part of our next charter school, kind of looking to learn about how to start a community garden from the ground up,
okay.
whether it's at or adjacent to the school or in another location. And
Maybe they could use that.
I don't have all the answers, right? But I
Yeah.
shared with them, our wonderful partner over here, Will, who shared some
Right.
additional resources. But there's a desire. I mean, our gardens are booked out every year.
Right.
And not that we want any more work for our garden managers, but if we grow to a scale, then the garden community needs to figure out a way to sustain that. And so I think it provides a bigger conversation of how do we transfer the management of the garden with the stewardship of the commission, but the management of the garden back to the gardeners and make it a self-sustaining model.
Yeah, they'll have to do a C, you know, a 503C, I think that's called,
Yeah.
right, for something like that.
So but I think we need more plots to start. I think
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the scale we have now, we need to continue to manage it the way that we are, which we've already had people ask about plots already for next year, so. But I think we need to look at that parcel again strategically and figure out how we might be able to get a little more out of it, so.
That's great.
And the last thing for the public, there was a comment that came in via email and also thought form on the website of accessing Broadview from Cross Road. There was some concern about some no trespassing signs as you enter the trail to the left-hand side adjacent to the Zarba property. I did walk it. I found nothing to be I don't want to say unlawful, but nothing that was inappropriate in terms of the sign placement. It essentially says no trespassing, no hunting, with the address, which is literally right next to the trail. So if anybody had a question, they could certainly talk to the abutter. I went and looked. Again, it's a field. It's a farmed field, so there's really nowhere to post the signs on that particular property anyways. There is a stone wall bound. The signs are just over the stone wall. They've been there for some time. The trail is free to access off Cross Road. There's no restriction on entering Broadview from that trail. So I just want to let the public know if anybody had a
So the
question on
no
that.
trespassing, just to be clear, the no trespassing sign isn't in such an area that someone would think, oh, I can't use this trail because, I mean, we do have the rights to use that trail.
Correct. In my opinion, no, they're not impeding. And the only thing that I can offer the public as peace of mind is we do have a signboard there that's underutilized. In fact, it's been vandalized. You can certainly put a weatherproof sign there that says this trail, per the town of Derry, has access to Broadview. No trespassing signs are for the adjacent property, et cetera. So we'll certainly do that, but no, the trail is open. That's all I want to say.
That trail, it skirts the field,
Yeah,
so I guess what they don't want is people cutting directly across the field, is that it?
Or just kind of crossing over the stone wall into the field.
onto the Zarba property, yeah.
Oh, coming from Young Road
Broad-
that
yes,
direction?
yeah.
What about if you're coming from Cross Road?
You kind of walk that crossroad trail and then it banks off to the right.
All right,
So you'll see the stone wall there.
yeah,
And I think there's maybe one opening in the stone wall that's a little overgrown. It's really meant to kind of say, don't go into the field, stay onto the trail and go out to Cross Road if you want, but
so you can stay on the trail and not
enter their
hit the
property.
field.
Correct.
As I recall, last time I was there, that part going off, so you avoid the field, was very overgrown.
I have no problems with it the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, they cleared it recently,
Yeah.
right?
When's the last time you were down that end?
I don't remember, a couple of years.
The problem is you, Will. Just kidding.
I'm the solution man.
Any other business tonight?
While we're on the subject of Broadview, just real quick, I did my annual, I wish somebody else would do, go through Broadview and clean out the birdhouses that were built by that Girl Scout troop. That was maybe 2 weeks ago. Just a report, there only 4 of the 12 boxes were nested in this year, which was down from like 10 out of the 12 the previous year.
Wow.
So I have no explanation. I don't think it means anything in particular, just variation, but, just something I've been tracking.
James, I got a PSA. So firearm season for hunting starts Wednesday. It's been muzzleloader season through tomorrow is the last day of muzzleloader. So the activity of firearms is a much more active hunt here in New Hampshire. Section M, which encompasses most of this part of Rockingham County, has an excess deer population. They've issued multiple M tags, extra M tags in this area because the deer population is very robust, and they want to kind of cull the herd a little bit. So I think we're going to have quite a bit of activity in the woods. So just you're sharing the woods with hunters. If you have an animal, I would put some orange on it. You should also wear orange if you're going to be in an area that allows hunting. That's all I got.
Rick, if you're somebody in town who's looking to hunt, but you don't know if hunting is allowed on the property, what should you do?
You could always call Fish and Game. Fish and Game's a good resource, but if you look at the conservation maps, they all pretty much describe. So New Hampshire is a place where you can hunt anywhere that isn't posted. So think about that. As long as you stay far enough away from homes and stuff like that. There's some guidelines on how far you have to away from homes, but anyone who has a hunting license has taken a hunter safeties course, and they know what those boundaries are. But as far as conservation properties, they have to look. If you are on a property that hunting is not allowed and you kind of like go on that property by accident and it's not posted, there's no repercussions, but when you're asked to leave, you have to leave. That's basically it.
But that's a little bit of an issue because an area like Broadview Farm, for example, is hunting is not permitted. But by the same token, there are no hunting signs
Right.
up, right? So I think people have to dig a little deeper,
Right.
to, and like go to the town's website, I'm sure that's true for, I think, the Low property as well.
Yeah, we have every use
Right.
listed on the back of our map.
Yeah.
So we'll let the map speak for our conservation properties, but
Right.
just want to be clear.
Yeah, and Fish and Game keeps a
Yeah,
pretty active
this-
map.
The safest thing is just wear something orange, or at least something bright that you're not, I get people coming down to Ballard, and I stopped a lady the other day wearing a white turtleneck scarf with
Uh-oh.
a fawn-colored jacket.
Wrong
And
color.
she came out of the woods, and I was like, what are you doing in there?
Wrong color, white.
And she said she had no idea that we allowed hunting on state land. And so wear something bright. Yes, it's their responsibility not to shoot you, but
Don't wear white.
it's
Don't
your
wear white gloves
responsibility to
either.
help them.
Okay. Any other notes on business this evening?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Jeannie and I attended a great, the NHACC annual meeting on Saturday. We attended some great workshops. And I had told you a while back that I got nominated to be on the board of directors, and I got voted in unanimously for the board of directors. So-
Fantastic. Fantastic, congrats.
So there'll be, all the workshops and information from the workshops is going to get posted on the NHAC website with links to each one of them, so you can get all the course material even if you didn't attend. So,
Awesome.
yep.
How'd you find the event?
It was good. It was really good, yeah.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah, they had a great guest speaker. It was David Carroll. If any of you are familiar, he's written a lot of books, but he wrote The Year of the Turtle. He gave a great talk on his life and how he got interested in turtles. It was very immersive and very interesting. Yeah. And he's recently written a memoir that explains, his life story, because he's 83 years old. So, but he's been a turtle lover all his life and a turtle watcher. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
That's exciting.
it was.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Rick motions to adjourn. We have a second?
Second.
Grace Rysdorf seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Wish I could tell.